My name is Sudeshna Roy, and I'm going to say three things about Bob today. The first thing is that he actually embodied intercultural communication, and he enacted on it, performed it with sincerity and dedication every day of his life. I'm thinking of the time when I first met him. I actually met him at a peace and conflict communication, a high density panel that was organized by Ben and Mary Jane Collier. And I was a participant, and so was Bob in that. I was a non-traditional PhD student in the United States who had recently been employed in a small regional university in Texas. So for me to be part of that high density panel organized by Ben and Mary Jane was an honor. And I met so many cool people. One of them was Bob. But as a non-traditional student, I was a single mother, a much older person who had joined the field. And so my children followed me everywhere. You know, I didn't have the money to keep them anywhere. Neither did I have a long list of friends who would support them when I was gone for conferences. So many people who know me over the years know that my children always are there, right behind me. And so during the conference, during the high density panel, I came to know Bob's work. You know, I already knew his work, but you know, he was talking about how it intersected with peace and conflict. It was very super cool. You know, he was super cool. Anyway, so a little bit later, my kids were playing outside in the corridor, just like here in one of the hotels, and I hear this booming laughter. Because when I talked about my work and with peace and conflict and how some of it is inspired by what concerns are my children's concerns for the future, he found out that I was a single mom, and he found out that I had moved countries to be a PhD student here from India. And so I hear this booming laughter coming from the corridor. He was playing with my children outside. And after that high density panel, we went out for dinner that night to a local restaurant, and he was the one who was entertaining my kids. My kids were having a long conversation with Bob Shutter. And it was just so affirming to me that my several identities, you know, an international scholar, a single mother, he saw it all and was able to engage with that so coolly and with so much sincerity, genuineness. The second thing I'm going to talk to you about is his personal pride about his own family, which I got to witness. Because, you know, a few years later, I was lucky enough to actually organize that high density panel for Peace and Conflict Communication Division with Michael Zyrulnik. And Bob's son's paper was accepted to that high density panel. And during that panel at NCA, a few years later, so it was like 2014, I think, Bob came to visit the panel, and I was asking him, how come you didn't submit something? And he was like, I'm not going to tell you. I was like, what's going on? Anyway, so he sat in the audience, and then his son gave a presentation, and I noticed that, you know, there was a shutter, which was not a Bob. And there is a Bob Shutter sitting at the back listening. And then, you know, of course, he was giving me this really knowing smile. And then after the high density panel was over, he came up to me and he said, the apple didn't fall far from the tree, did it now? It was so cute, you know, he was so proud of his son. You know, I think he went to Iowa, University of Iowa. And he had this huge smile on his face, you know, talking about his son. That was the second thing. And the third thing I have to say is about generosity. You know, I was struggling to publish in journals. When you work at regional universities, the teaching load is enormous, and it was very difficult for me to find the time to revise, resubmit to really prestigious journals. And he saw my work, and he invited me to write and publish in a special issue of a journal that he was editing. And I thought that the world had come to a standstill. Bob Shutter asked me to write and accepted my manuscript. And that particular work is one of the most read works, according to Google citation, in the field that I am working on. So that tells you something, that he was not just interested for the sake of interest or to show people that he's interested, but he was genuinely always interacting with and engaging with people and embodying the spirit of intercultural communication.